দর্শক আমন্ত্রণ আরটিভি নিয়মিত আলোচনা অনুষ্ঠান ফোর্থরাইটে আপনাদের সঙ্গে আছে আমি সৈয়দ আশিক রহমান। এই অনুষ্ঠানে আমরা কথা বলি বিভিন্ন সেক্টরের বিশেষজ্ঞদের সাথে যারা বাংলাদেশে কাজের অভিজ্ঞতা, উদ্দেশ্য এবং ভবিষ্যৎ পরিকল্পনা নিয়ে আলোচনা করেন। আমাদের আজকের অতিথি ওয়াশিংটন ভিত্তিক মার্কিন সংস্থা নিউজিয়াম ইনস্টিটিউটের ভাইস প্রেসিডেন্ট বারবারা McCormack. Very welcome, Miss Barbara, at RTV studio. Before starting our main discussion, let us have a look on the Newseum Institute. How do you find it here? Is it your first visit in Bangladesh?
This is my first visit in Bangladesh, and I'm loving it. It's very vibrant. It's unique. Not at all what I expected. Super friendly people. So hospitable, welcoming, delicious food. It's been a great first visit.
What is your purpose to visit here?
I'm here to train and to present on media literacy education. There's a phenomenon right now going on that you're familiar with of fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news. And so what I try to do is promote combating fake news from the angle of training, educating, empowering the consumer to help find reliable information on their own, to sift through the volumes of information out there on the web, and to be able to count on themselves to find quality information and not be duped or fooled by misleading content.
Well, everybody is now talking about the fake news, and it's worldwide. It's a big concern actually. Well, what is the definition of fake news? Right. Bad news is a fake news,
no.
Or I want to listen for me.
People disagree. Some people don't even like the term fake news, but I use it because it's recognized around the world. As soon as you say fake news, people understand it. They think they understand it. I always start my trainings with a definition.
Well,
very simple. Fake news. It's a lie.
Yeah.
It's made up. There's no truth, but it's made to look like news. So it's where the lines blur and where people have trouble distinguishing or don't necessarily agree are with the other types of misinformation. So not fake news, but bias. Bias in reporting, although there's many problems that come with bias, biased news is not fake. It comes from a perspective. And it's important that the consumer be able to identify that perspective.
So you want to tell that biased news is not the fake news?
It's not fake news. It's not desirable. Journalists should strive to be fair, accurate, and clear and remove bias. But we know that bias is a business model, a news model that sells, especially on social media and sometimes on cable news, that we have pundits that mix with journalists. And so people can get information that helps reinforce their views. Also, negative news.
Negative news.
That's not fake news. And some politicians around the world and just people in general, when something doesn't put them in a positive light.
What is the meaning of bad news? As far as I know, bad news is also news.
Bad news is news, but if it doesn't put someone in a positive light, they don't like it. So they might say that's fake, and that's not true about me. But the sheer purpose of the press, especially in the U.S. and around the globe, is to be the unofficial fourth estate. They are the ones who are to keep the government in check, to keep the eye on the government, and to report back to the people. So just by their very nature, sometimes it's conflict, and they're looking for issues that are going to be of concern to the public. So that can put them in that confrontational state. Also, finally, sloppy reporting, flawed news. Although it again comes with problems, it's not fake news.
Okay.
Journalists strive to be accurate. They work hard to get facts straight, but they're reporting quickly. There's fast turnaround, and sometimes they can get facts slightly wrong. So if a fact is not quite right, someone will claim it's fake, and it's just a mistake. It's just misinformation.
Well, Barbara, as the Vice President of Newseum, what is your responsibility?
Education, creating educational programs. I'm the education arm of the Newseum. So we do public programming. I create programs for youth and for teachers that they can use in the classroom to help augment their curriculum and what they're already doing. And we also put on public programs for adults. So we might work in libraries. We could run campaigns, education campaigns on Facebook, perhaps, and we do public programs where we have newsmakers, news consumers in the room and have discussions about these topics. So we work on educating the public of all ages.
Well, Barbara, what is the Newseum Institute?
We have been around for 21 years, the Newseum. So it's a museum, and the last 10 years we have been on Pennsylvania Avenue. Pennsylvania Avenue. And then, you know, other very famous place on Pennsylvania Avenue.
I visited
the White House, exactly. We're dedicated to protecting free speech and free press. Well, the First Amendment, all 5 freedoms of the First Amendment. So we want to help bridge the gap between the public and the media and promote First Amendment awareness, champion the First Amendment, and in turn protect it. And so part of that is through media literacy. People have to have good facts and good information about the First Amendment. So we have, again, been around 21 years. The Newseum Institute that I'm part of, now named the Freedom Forum Institute, is the education arm of the Newseum. So we do the thought leadership. I have sister organizations that in the Institute with me, the First Amendment Center, which helps deal with First Amendment issues and position papers on that. The Religious Freedom Center, they also promote religious diversity and help create healthy dialogue around religious differences. And then Newseum Ed. And then that comes with a website that reaches students. I currently have users on my website from 244 countries and reaching roughly 10 million kids. The Newseum itself is about 250,000 square feet. We have 15 galleries. 15 galleries and 15 theaters. And it's
15 theaters.
And it's dedicated to examining the role of the media in reporting history. So it's more of like a history museum and a First Amendment museum.
Fortunately, I got the experience to watch your Newseum, and it was really amazing. And so plan-wise, it's made, and really, it shows something. Lots of things are there to learn about it. So I want to learn more about it after a short break about the new media.
Thank you.
Thank you. দর্শক দেখছেন RTV নিয়মিত আলোচনা অনুষ্ঠান ফোর্থরাইট। এই পর্যায়ে নিচ্ছি ছোট্ট একটি বিরতি, ফিরছি একটু পরে, আমাদের সাথেই থাকুন। দর্শক আবারও আমন্ত্রণ ফোর্থরাইট অনুষ্ঠানে। আজকে কথা বলছিলাম ওয়াশিংটন ভিত্তিক মার্কিন সংস্থা নিউজিয়াম ইনস্টিটিউটের ভাইস প্রেসিডেন্ট বারবারা ম্যাককরম্যাকের সঙ্গে। ওয়েলকাম এগেইন মিস বারবারা at RTV studio. Newseum Institute interesting part is the headline, the front page.
Oh, did show you the front page exhibit?
Yeah.
So yeah, every day we have headlines from around the country and around the world, and they go up outside in front of our building and also internally. So it's a daily exhibit. It's a changing exhibit every day. I don't know any other museum in Washington, D.C. that has changes an exhibit every day.
How you categorize to select the headlines, front page.
Right. We have a newspaper editor in our print shop that helps select the stories that represent what's happening around the world that day by region and globally. So we want a nice mix of what's being covered and what's important. And that really varies depending on where you live. So they can.
Is any Bangladeshi newspaper in your list?
I don't know. I think there was one, but I'm not sure. We also have a large database with hundreds that don't necessarily get printed and put up. So I'm going to go and check. And if not, you're going to get us one, right?
Great.
We can help us get one to participate.
Because I'll be happy if I find that our Bangladeshi, any newspapers, headlines or front page is there.
Well, and it's very popular. We have visitors from all around the world. And that's one of the first things they do, is they go to see if their newspaper...
Do you have any plan to include television headlines?
No, not yet. We're in trouble keeping up with the newspapers.
Still the newspaper, newsprint.
But people love that. It's a connection to their home. Exactly. They love to see that, and so it's a
What
good
about
exhibit.
the new media? Because new media is coming up and very vibrant nowadays.
Right.
And lots of newspapers shut down.
Right.
They are closing because 21st century new media is coming very fast.
Very fast.
So how you adapt here, and the challenges about the fake news is also there. You have already met some Bangladeshi audiences.
Yes.
In your various programs in Bangladesh, what is your understanding about the requirement, about the needed?
I think the need is what I'm seeing in the U.S. and what I'm seeing around the globe, and it's education and tips and tools on how to suss out, to find misinformation, to ID fake news. There's a lot of tricks that these purveyors of fake news use, understanding the tactics that they use, looking for seeds of propaganda that they plant when they attempt to oversimplify issues or exaggerate facts or divide us. Understanding what those tactics are really important, as well as how to find reliable information by examining evidence and stories that you read, looking to find out if what the claims are real, looking for the source of information. Number one, we shouldn't just trust anything if we don't know the source. So these tips and tricks on how to look and find this stuff for yourself. I think it would be really good to empower the consumer. I think nobody wants to be fooled. Nobody wants to be duped. They all want to find good information. They don't want to think that they were a sucker. And I think that is the same thing that the Bangladeshi people that I've met are also looking for. I met a bunch of your youth at the U Lab at the university. Very smart. The kids are the same. They get it.
Very smart.
Very smart. They get it.
Millennium kids.
They understand. They are very smart. I want to make sure that we get to our adults. Sometimes our adults miss this training. They weren't part. They didn't have a digital dossier. They weren't part of this revolution. So they kind of missed out and don't understand how deep fakes occur, how people clone websites, or that people are out there intending to do harm. And the key to this training is to not create cynics. We want people to trust. We don't want them to trust everything, but to find a happy medium between a cynic and a sucker, someone who feels confident in their skills to find reliable information.
How much important the media literacy to the people, and what role are you playing in your Newseum Institute?
It's key. It is the key. If we can't do this for ourselves, the solution is bottom up. If we can't do this for ourselves, then someone has to do it for us. And then that runs the risk of infringing on our free speech, our protection, you know, the slippery slope. But that means we need to be responsible. We need to be held accountable for being a positive contribution to the information cycle. And how we're contributing is free training and free resources on my website at newseumed.org for learners from all around the world. We're really trying to not only give the tools on how to identify, but the why it's important. to protect, it's a civic education duty as well. To protect democracies, to protect people, they need to understand that their role is, it's important. And if they're going to protect the free flow of information, they have to be responsible.
Let's talk about social media again. In social media dominated world, which type of media should we trust, and what are the challenges for news organization?
Misinformation can spread on any medium, and I was visiting Fact Watch at ULab, and they had fact-checked a story on a billboard. So on a billboard, and found that it wasn't completely true. So the point being that you can't really trust one platform more than another. Purveyors of fake news are going to find sources. And again, the solution is training information consumers to look for the tactics. The same tactics can be used in paper. They can be used on a billboard. They can be used on an internet, on Facebook, on WhatsApp. They can be used on any of these platforms. So just understanding these basic principles to find your source and evidence for stories will work regardless.
Well, as a media literacy specialist or educator, what is your opinion on technology, innovation?
I think journalism is adjusting. Journalists before, the cycle was one way. They produced the information and they pushed it to consumers. They did it on platforms they often own, newspapers, television stations. But now they have to work in this third-party platform that they have no control over. And it's a social platform. I'm not sure that news was meant to be social. And shared by likes, shares, and so it's causing, I think, traditional journalists to respond with more sensational, headlines, and to get, clickbait to get people to pay attention. They have to find alternative sources of money. The business model doesn't work necessarily for newspapers, especially because new generations want to receive their news on these devices. So we need to get newspaper subscriptions back up to newspapers and going to websites and not relying on these third-party platforms to be the purveyors of that information.
So I want to learn more about it after a short break about the new media.
Thank you.
Thank you. দর্শক দেখছেন RTV নিয়মিত আলোচনা অনুষ্ঠান ফোর্থরাইট। এই পর্যায়ে নিচ্ছি ছোট্ট একটি বিরতি, ফিরছি একটু পরে, আমাদের সাথেই থাকুন। দর্শক আবারও আমন্ত্রণ ফোর্থরাইট অনুষ্ঠানে। আজকে কথা বলছিলাম ওয়াশিংটন ভিত্তিক মার্কিন সংস্থা নিউজিয়াম ইনস্টিটিউটের ভাইস প্রেসিডেন্ট বারবারা ম্যাককরম্যাকের সঙ্গে। Welcome again, Ms. Barbara, at RTV studio. Well, Ms. Barbara, you are experienced on working in Western media. How do you compare the opportunity and challenges of new media in Bangladesh and Asia as well with other countries?
Yeah, and I see it as very similar. Some are just, we might be further along in the continuum, but it's similar. I think the new media platforms we're going to reach more audiences, more people will have access as they get internet access. Right. It's good. It's great. We can employ more voices. More people can be heard from. Right. Just not all of those people are wearing a white hat, meaning they don't mean to do well, but the opportunity to figure out how to deliver news reliably and get it to folks who are looking for quality information on these platforms is important, because I like to hold a newspaper. I like to watch TV, but this is going to be the way people want to receive information.
Then what are the future of the news?
Yeah, it has to change. It has to adapt and adjust to the new way that people want to receive information. I would love to see right now journalists are having a rough time. Around the world with trust issues.
Trust issues?
Exactly. So I think they're going to have to work harder to be accurate and build back the trust in their readers. I do think that citizens are going to be looking for these sources as more information comes online and it's getting tougher to tell what's real. I think they're going to want to look back at journalism.
Do you have any methodologies to reduce the concern of fake news?
I would be a complete supporter of empowering consumer through education and less policy, only because of the unintended consequences on freedom of expression. That being said, I don't mean that maybe we shouldn't ask for special policies and transparency, I should say. Transparency with these social media platforms. I think it's important for people who participate and use these platforms to understand how they work, to understand how the algorithms impact us. And I'm not sure many folks understand that.
Well, Barbara, do you have any final thought you want to share with our viewers, our audience, and our journalists?
Yeah, I do. I think that if the participants in the information cycle, the news producers, the journalists, and the aggregators, the tech platforms, and the consumers, all of us, if we work to improve the information cycle by improving our role, by producing better quality content, by being more transparent on our platforms, and being responsible consumers, if we work together, we can improve the information cycle and hopefully keep free expression safe and well and protect the rights of our journalists.
Right. Well, Barbara, do you have any plan in future to make any workshop with our journalists here in Bangladesh?
We are working hard on that, and I've offered up lots of opportunities, virtual classes, all of our free resources on newseumed.org, so I hope so. Great.
I hope to see it as early as possible and looking for that.
Thank you.
That day that you come to have a workshop with journalists here in Bangladesh.
Wonderful.
And I wish you all success and success of the Newseum institutions.
Thank you.
And hope to see you here in Bangladesh again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
much.
much
For your time. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
দর্শক, বিশ্বজুড়ে সময়ের সাথে পাল্লা দিয়ে চলছে নতুন সামাজিক মাধ্যমের আধিপত্য। ফলে গণমাধ্যমে বিশ্বাসযোগ্যতা প্রতিস্থাপন এখন একটি বড় চ্যালেঞ্জ, যার সাথে যোগ হয়েছে প্রচলিত সংবাদ মাধ্যমের সাথে সামাজিক যোগাযোগ মাধ্যমের এক অলিখিত প্রতিযোগিতা। নিউজিয়াম ইনস্টিটিউটের সাথে বারবারা ম্যাককরম্যাকের 2 দশকের বেশি সময়ের যে সম্পর্ক, তারই প্রেক্ষিতে বাংলাদেশ সফর করলেন তিনি। এবারের সফরে দেশের তরুণ সমাজের সাথে মতবিনিময়ের যে অভিজ্ঞতা অর্জন করলেন বারবারা, তার রেশ ছড়িয়ে পড়ুক আন্তর্জাতিক অঙ্গনেও, সেই প্রত্যাশা শেষ করছে আজকের ফোর্থরাইট। এতক্ষণ আমাদের সাথে থাকার জন্য ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে।